Yeah, welcome, and thank you so much for the kind presentation. Okay, yeah, let's do this. So we're here to talk a little bit about, basically how you can use Azure and how we can leverage basically Azure App Service, so that very quickly, you can have something ready, which is, production ready. It's not something that, yeah, you can run it in a demo or in a presentation, and in these presentations where everything works perfectly fine. No, it's actually something that you can actually use this for real stuff production. Okay. So just doing a short presentation about myself. My name is Tiago. Didn't change before. Okay, Danny, present me myself. Okay, I work as a cloud and AI architect and advisor, which is kind of a funny way, and to say that I help organizations moving their workloads into the cloud. Mainly, I also like migrations, cloud native solutions, um, from all spectrums. Okay, to be totally honest, and of course lately a lot of AI stuff. I think it's the obvious thing, the obvious trend right now, which is actually pretty good, which is kind of a back to the past for me. I'm also an instructor, so sometimes you can find me in the classroom. I always love to teach people about Azure Bot AI, so that will be something that I really, really love. I'm also an author. You can find me on LinkedIn Learning, O'Reilly, and also on my own platform, which is Learn with Tiago. You can see the link over there, and the icon over there already. And I always like to share some content over there, etc. And I also love to do this, which is basically speaking at events, being virtually like this one or even in person. Okay, I'm also an Azure MVP, and I have a bunch of certifications. And I'm actually based in Lisbon, Portugal. Okay, which we always say it is, the sunny Lisbon, Portugal. But we actually had quite a few days with like super super hot. Some areas actually getting to 40 degrees, and now we're under a storm. So it's like thunderstorms like crazy here today. Okay, so it's already 4 o'clock, so it's already almost end of the day for us. But it's like been like this since the beginning of the day. So hopefully my electricity will stay. Okay. I have a battery that lasts for like 30 minutes, so let's hope it does. Usually it's not a problem. Okay. But yeah, so I also love to travel. I've been already in 78 different countries. It's kind of a passion of mine, including Canada. Yes, I've been in Canada more than once. Okay, and it has been always lovely, I have to confess. Okay, so what's the agenda? We're going to talk a little bit about just the fundamentals. What is the app service? Okay, what can we do with the app service? Then about deployment, CI, CD stuff with this. Then we talk about scaling, performance, availability. We also talk a little bit about networking, security, and identity, that stuff that we can do with this. And then let's not forget, okay, cost is a thing. Even, the biggest companies that have enormous budgets, right? They always have to be very, very, you know, cost concerns. It's a big thing for everyone. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about optimizations that we can do. And I also want to give you, in the end of this session, let's take you guys out of here with some key takeaways. Okay, and I think I have five key takeaways. I know I have five. Okay, it's five key takeaways that I created. I think it's like stuff that is nice for you to know. So what is the app service? So app service, I have to confess it's my favorite Azure service. Okay, don't tell this to the other services. Okay, because I want them to behave with me too. But it's definitely my favorite service, and it's a service that I can use to basically, fully managed way, which means I don't need to worry about patching. I don't need to worry about, hey, what kind of VM is this? And, hey, I need to patch something. I need to configure something. No, it is basically all done by the vendor, in this case, Microsoft. And it's for what? It's to host HTTP based applications, okay? That means it could be a web application, okay? But it can also be like an API, okay? So a RESTful API. So something that is basically HTTP based, okay? And of course, then we also talk about scaling. It's also included on this, etc. Okay, that we have in here. We have this abstraction, okay, from the infrastructure. So we totally abstract, okay, how the infrastructure is. Like I said, patching, scaling, load balancing, high availability. Okay, usually you just define some rules and that's it, but how it's actually implemented, right? Because if you have two instances, well, definitely you need some kind of load balancing technology, right? That works, how it is. Well, you don't need to worry about configuring this yourself. That's what we want to say with this. And this is actually one of the core Azure services. You might ask yourself, what's the core Azure service, Tiago? Okay, Tiago explains. It's basically, there's a list of Azure services that Microsoft considers them to be core, means that all of them will be available in all the regions. So a region is not GA if they don't have a series of, Azure services, okay, available in that region. I'm sure you can understand, like VMs, everything in the back will run inside a virtual machine. So that definitely we need that. Storage, okay, virtual networks, and a bunch of other networking things. They are the basis of everything. So yeah, they need to be there. They need to be available, etc. App services, one of those things. Okay. So the core building blocks that we have with app services, we start by creating an app service plan, okay? The app service plan, it's going to determine the pricing, the scaling, the resource allocation, and I can have multiple applications, okay, in the same app service plan. I actually myself, I have, a venture where we have, right now, if I'm not mistaken, at least last week, because I didn't saw it since last week, around 200 and ish web applications inside a single app service plan. Okay. Of course, it's not an app service plan that only has one instance, but actually doesn't have that many. It has two, because those applications are quite small, and the usage that they have, again, it's also not that big. And so what happens is I can deal with it with just one, okay, app service plan. In this case, I have two instances. To be honest, even one will be enough. I have two instances just to have high availability, okay, just in case if, one of those instances, it's not working properly or whatever, or, the availability zone where it's running has some issues. I still have a second one in a different availability zone, and I should be good to go. Okay, but to be honest, in terms of performance, one will be enough. There are cases where you might have just one web application that can be, again, a web app, could be an API. And, you might want to have this in a dedicated app service plan. So one app service plan that probably has, let's just say, 4 or 5 instances just for a single web application, because it's going to consume a lot of resources because it has a lot of usage. So, it always depends on the apps that we're building, okay? And the usage that they have. And then we also talk about regions and resource groups. So sometimes I have my customers say, Tiago, what is the best region for me to run this? Well, I need to know more about your users. Where are your users? Because if we are not going to enter into the governance bits of all of this, yeah, it's easy. You should choose the region that's going to be closest to where your users are going to be. Then, of course, we talk a lot about governance. Sometimes we need to go to a specific region because of some governance rule. Could be a governmental rule, could be like even an internal governance rule that your organization has. Look, it depends. And then we also talk about resource groups to logically organize this. Okay, and we also talk about for the doing administration on this. It will facilitate you doing administration when it comes to role-based access control. You only need to role-based access control, like, oh yeah, this resource group in here It facilitates your life, basically, okay? I have also already bring you here a best practice, which is, always pair your app, okay, with, app resources like storage, like a database, because you might need, those to build your whole workload, and make them in the same region, okay? Make sure that they're in the same region. You're going to reduce latency with this because, your app service doesn't need to do calls, to other regions, then come back, then respond to your user. We don't need this. It's within the same region. Of course, latency will be lower. But also there's a cost concern too involved in all this. If you call things within the same region, usually you're not going to pay for it. But if you call things to other regions, there is billing and cost that's going to be done there on top, okay, of your basically on the traffic, okay, that you're going to do with those calls. It might be something small, but sometimes, for example, I had a case of a customer where we had a huge amount of storage that needed to be called, and actually, we were paying quite a lot billing wise because of all this traffic that we were doing. And then we kind of re-architect that a little bit to save some money on this. We support a bunch of basically a bunch of runtimes and stacks. Look, .NET, Python, Java, Node, PHP, look, you name it. And we also can run this in several different operating systems, okay? And we have like Linux, we have Windows. They are both, okay, basically supported in here. And we're actually going to talk about why Linux, why Windows in just a moment, okay? So like I said, the app service plan is going to have all the compute and feature definitions. I can have apps in the same app service plan, sure, but they are going to share the compute. Okay, so I can have an app service plan, and I can put a web app, and I can add a second one, and even more apps. But let's be honest, those apps that I have there, they're all sharing the same compute. So they are going to compete for that compute. Okay, and so you have to be careful if this is actually what you want to achieve, because performance-wise, you might be introducing some issues with this. If you have some of those apps that you see, this here actually needs to be independent, just do it, okay? And you will be fine with that, okay? So with this, let me just get started here, okay? And I actually have lots of demos to do today, okay? So, and I actually have 0 stuff prepped demo-wise, so it's all going to be live, okay? That's how I do it. So let's create here a resource, and I'm going to create a web app, okay? Of course, what I'm doing here, I'm doing this via the portal. Look, you should do this via Bicep or Terraform, just to have the concept of infrastructure as a service. Look, sure, okay, I'm not going to lie to you. That's it is. But if I do demos that way, you only see scripts, and then the concepts are not going to be there, okay? So with this, let me just create here, okay. Let's just say AZ Canada Cloud, then AZ Canada Cloud. Let's see if this one is available or not. I really don't like those very weird default names that this is generating nowadays. And then let's go .NET 8. Come on, work out with me. This is still checking, see here, just still loading the thinking over there. Okay, let's ignore that. Okay, it's available. Canada Central. Yeah, let's go for it, okay? And then we have here the pricing plan, okay? So the pricing plan, look, first of all, let's talk about the operating system here. I have Linux, I have Windows, I can choose because I'm using .NET 8. But for example, if you go to Python, okay, and it doesn't matter which version, 3.13 for example, you see that Windows starts to be what? Grayed out. And you're like, what the, how is this grayed out? I can run Python in Windows. Well, I was just doing something that I was actually running Python, okay, on my machine here, okay? So definitely you can. But doesn't matter why, we don't have time to explain all those things today. If you want to know more, reach out to me. Microsoft, the app service team, just decided we're not supporting Python, okay, in Windows. That's it. If you go to PHP, same stuff. PHP runs on Windows, Tiago. Yeah, not supported. If you go to Node.js, for example, oh, Node.js, it is supported, okay? So you have to check this, okay, to make sure that, look, whatever you want to do, it is supported. Nevertheless, let's just say .NET 8. .NET 8, it's definitely supported in Windows and Linux. But look at this now. This is the pricing plan. So this is the app service plan, okay? And if I create a new one here, because I don't like that name, so ASP Canada, okay, there you go. This is what I want. And now I'm going to explore the pricing plans. And let me choose one, which is the P1 V3, okay? Which is this one here. And, damn it, I can't show you here. Yeah, okay. Let me open another one here. I will explain. I'm using a subscription. That is a very, very special subscription where I'm not paying more, okay, because of this, okay? But, so it's the same price for Windows and Linux over there. But if you create, okay, something in here, but doesn't matter where, it doesn't matter which name it has. Let's go .NET 8. Damn it, I need to select this here. So AZ Contoso training, yeah, that's fine, that's fine. Okay, so if I explore the pricing plan on this, and I choose a P1, okay, V3, so in euros, okay, so in Canadian dollars, it should be something similar to this, or, well, converting the rates and all that, but you get the idea. So this is how much, okay, you're going to pay. Windows, so 224. Now, select this. Let's go back and let's change this to Linux. Okay, and I choose Linux. Now I'm going to click here and I'm going to select P1 V3 again. So from 220 something, you're going to pay this. Got it? And you're like, wow, yes, that's quite, okay, that's quite a difference, okay, in the amount, you know, that you have to pay for. So that's how much more or, you know, less you have. But we're going to create things here in this other subscription, okay, there where I am, where I don't have that difference in the amount that I paid. So that's why I had to go to the other one to explain to you, okay? And so that's it. That's what I have here. Then I can go to next. I can actually create a database with this. I can actually deployment. Let's leave this as it is. You can also go to networking, you know, and define some stuff on networking. We're not talking about that today. Monitoring, you can actually, and you should enable application insights in your virtual machine, in your app service, or and, you know, having that configured. I'm not, because this is a demo and I don't want to create something else more. So I'll just say no to this. But actually deployment, it's something that I actually want to talk about. As you can see here, I can actually, you know, just create a continuous deployment setting on this. So I can enable this. My GitHub account is this. I have access to several organizations, okay? I'm actually just going to choose, you know, my own organization. And then I have a bunch of repos, okay, that that I have here, which I'm going to try to use this app service web.net get started. Okay, and I could have several branches. And if you do this, okay, you can see the file that this will generate. This will actually generate the GitHub actions, okay, automatically for you. And we're actually going to try this, okay? And to be honest, I'm trying this, but I don't know if this is going to work because I don't know which app I have there, okay? Because I'm not the only one touching on that repo, so. But let's just see what we come up with this. So now let's wait for this to be finished. Dun, 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 dun. So it's creating our app service plans. Okay, let's go to our resource. So this is our web application here. And if we go to deployment and then deployment center, we should have our thing in here. And our deployment is actually in progress. Okay, because by the way, what we finished in the Azure portal was just the creation of the infrastructure. Okay, so if we go overview, you might browse this. We might still see, there you go. So you might still see the, landing page that this creates, okay? And, yeah, that's cool. It's here. We have something that now, if I want, I could just, build something and just say, hey, you know what, deploy this over there, okay? So let's just see if this here deploys something in here, okay? It should take, some time to do that. And let's just go in here, and here you can see the repo. And it's being built, the app, and then it should be deployed in no time. Okay, let me just see what app is this. Okay, because honestly, I don't even know what app is this. Oh my god, this is a really old app. Oh, this is 4.8. ASP.NET. Oh yeah. Well, doesn't matter. I just wanted to show you something in here. Okay. So if we go here, workflows, you can actually see. Okay, this was the one that was just created now. Okay, this actually creates the whole GitHub action for you. That's what I wanted to show you. Okay, so that's actually pretty cool. Okay, the stuff that we can actually do with with this. So yeah, there you go. And yeah, it failed, of course. Okay, because I'm asking him to deploy something on 4.8 and on .NET 8, and I'm saying it's an ASP 4.8, which is a really, really, really old thing. So that's why it's not going to run. No problem at all. Let's just move on with this. Okay, so right now, yes, look, we created this. Talking about the CI/CD bits of this, look, we have integrations with this with GitHub Actions, Azure DevOps. They're like the two biggest ones, but even other CI/CD tools. Okay, you can actually also use other tools for this and to use with this. Okay, so that's definitely something that we can use. Okay, then we talk about a feature that I really, really love, which is deployment slots. And with deployment slots, we actually even have a slide that we kind of cover this in the end about deployment slots, that look, it's actually pretty cool what you can do, because you can actually create another instance kind of your application. There are still the two connected, and then you can swap things with another. That's actually a pretty cool technology. It's pretty much then just changing the routes, because sometimes people explain this, oh, they changed the routes, and it's actually pretty fast and etc. But it's a little bit more than this. There's like some warm up that needs to be done before and after. So there's actually a little bit more to this than just doing that. Okay. And why this my whoa? Okay. There's source control. Again, we kind of already cover this. GitHub, Azure App's Bitbucket. We can actually have all those, and best practice is this tip on zero down deployment. So how we do this? So the thing is, you're going to have, okay, here a Git branch, like for example, the main branch, okay? And the main branch, it's going to do one thing. It's going to deploy, okay, to a slot, okay? And let's just say that this slot here is called the staging slot. Got it? Then we have another slot here, which is our production slot, okay? Which is where I was trying to deploy, okay, through that, GitHub action that I was having. But this is how you do it, okay? So you have your code, and, the main branch, or whatever branch you decide to be the deployment branch, because then there's like different theories about that. We're not covering this today. Whatever it is, let's just say it's the main, and if you don't like to be the main, just bear with me on this. You're going to have a CI, okay, CD pipeline that what's going to do is first is going to deploy stuff into the staging slot. Then number two is going to test the whole thing. So it's going to test this, and then if everything goes well, it's going to do a third action. Okay? But until now, is there downtime? No. Because all my users that we have, where are our users? They are hitting production. So, oh, this took 5 minutes to deploy. Whatever. The tests took 10 minutes. Whatever. Okay. Production is still running perfectly. No one is noticing that something is happening behind the scenes. Okay. So what's the third thing that we have here? The third is the swap, okay, of the slots. So it's basically this one here. So then you're going to swap, okay, the slots. And even this, okay, is something that it is done with zero downtime. So your users are still going to keep working in that app, and then they're going to start working with a newer version. But there is no downtime, okay, with this. This is like actually super cool, okay, what we can do with this. And you might ask yourselves, oh, Tiago, but to create a deployment slot should be like super complicated. Well, it is not. You just need to go to deployment slots, okay, and add a slot. And now just say, hey, what's the name of your slot? Let's just say staging, okay? And you see here, see, basically AZ staging, and basically that's it, okay? And you can actually create a deployment slot, bam, just like this. Got it? So super easy. Now this might take a few seconds here to create. And actually, when this is creating, let me try to do something in here, okay? Projects demo. Okay. So if now I do like .NET new Okay, web app, AZ Canada. Okay, I'm just creating here, okay, a new application, okay? Let me just change here, okay? Azure Cloud Summit Canada, okay? Look, don't need to put anything more on this, that's fine. Okay, so now let's go back here. So we have our staging slot here. If I browse through my staging slot in here, you can see the landing page. Okay, cool stuff. But now I'm just doing this from VS Code. Okay, Control Shift P, and I'm just deploying my app service to a slot. Okay, I have this and I can do this because I have an extension in VS Code. Okay, which is called Azure App Service. Okay, it's an extension to connect with the Azure App Service. Okay, so there you go. I have all my subscriptions in here. I think I created stuff on this one here. Yeah, this is the one. And now, because I said I want this to a slot, it's actually going to query one more thing, which is which slot. Okay, and so now I just say staging. Actually, it's the, the only deployment slot, more that I have, because production is always there. Okay, so there you go. So should not take that long to have this, just ready in here. Pum, 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 pum. So this is all done. So now if we Control F5 this, hey, we have an app here, see? So now you might say, oh, cool, yeah. This is production, by the way, okay? So production is this. So now, like I was saying here, we deploy, we run some tests, and now we say, and we can automate all this, okay? Now I say, well, this is cool. I want to promote this. So sure. So now you can go here, you can go to deployment slots, and now we have this amazing option called swap. And, we're going to swap. There's a little bit more to this because, there's also, the environmental variables that you can put on this. And we needed to talk about that. We can actually put some, I'll just start the swap, okay? I could put some kind of blocked to the slot itself, so they kind of stay in that slot. We call them slot settings, okay? Or slot variables now. And we could do that, sure. But yeah, basically the rest, okay, of them, they are going to be also transported with a swap, which sometimes you might be okay with this, sometimes not. So that's why, we actually have options. So the swapping is happening, but nevertheless, we might want to go here and we might start to refresh. Okay, see, oh, this is staging, but staging is showing up this. So that means if I go production and I refresh production, ta-da! We have here our, our newer application. Okay, and yeah, there you go. Of course, all this, you could do through branches and through CI/CD, etc. So that will be something that, yeah, definitely you can make that happen. Okay. So what we have more that I wanted to cover. Okay. So I don't have that many more slides, but I want to do demos. So one of the things is, okay, we have this, right? And we look at this and we say, okay, that's great. But what about that domain, Tiago? I'm not putting this on the side of a buzz, right? Like, hey, visit our amazing company, azcanadacloud.azurewebsites.net. It's not professional, right? So let's go in here. Let's go to custom domains. And if we see custom domains here, see, I can actually add, okay, a custom domain on this. And, so I could say, yeah, I want to, other domain services. I can add a certificate later, or I can say, yeah, let's just add this as a as a managed certificate. Okay, I'll add them later. And what I want to do on this is, let's just say azcontoso.com. And I'm actually going to try this, okay? The thing is, okay, this should be all in the same subscription. And I have this domain, okay? But the thing is, this is actually probably not going to work because I have this in different subscriptions. This is one of those quirks, let's call them quirk, that Azure has, okay? That sometimes, we have certain things that they need to be in the same subscriptions and and things like that. Okay, so let's go with this. And I really wanted to have a host name, a CNAME, not, there you go. Okay, see, I just put a space, went back. This was with an IP, was an A record, now it's a CNAME. Quirks, repeat after me, quirks. Okay, there you go. So another tab here to open the DNS. Come on, let me just put this. Getting too hot in here. azcontoso.com. And I have my DNS zone in here. And record sets, I'm going to create here a new record set. That's going to be a CNAME. And I'm going to grab this one here. It's basically, I'm just doing what they are asking here, okay? Get the CNAME, get a text record with the values that, they're showing up there. So not inventing anything. Now let me add another one. It's going to be a text record that is going to have this, and I'm going to put this, and it's going to grab this, and I'm going to put that value in here. There you go. So now I can go back here and I can actually validate, okay, my thing in here. And everything passed. Let's add this. I knew it was going to work. Okay, what I don't know it's going to work is that second bit that is actually doing now, which is the SSL. And there you go. Like I said, it was going to give me an error. That's fine. Look, this was just to configure the HTTPS. Okay, it's not that important, okay, because we can actually show you that, this is actually working. So if we do HTTP, which, you should never use just HTTP. I think it's obvious, but if we do this in here, see, hey, it's working. Okay, see, azcontoso.com, and, we have our app fully working. And why this is showing up, this app? Oh, damn. I think I did this in the wrong. Yeah, I did this in the staging one. So yeah, it's actually correct. Okay, yeah, I mess up here. Sorry about that. Okay, so see here, I did this in the app service slot. Okay, I did the custom domain over there. Okay, that's why it's showing this. Yeah, good, Tiago. Okay. But I'm not doing the demo again because I need to delete everything, wait a while, and then create again. So you get the idea, okay? Let's imagine I wanted to do this, okay? And I wanted to put a custom domain in the staging app, okay? So that's just one of the things that I can do in here. There's also other stuff that I want to cover, which is about scaling, performance, and availability. And look, for scaling, we have options like manual or automatic scaling on this. We actually need to talk about service plans. So back then, I choose a service plan for the app service plan was P1v3, if I'm not mistaken. That's the P means premium. Okay. So don't feel premium. Oh my God, it's going to be a fortune. Actually, it's not. Actually, premium, it's super accessible, okay, for us in in this case in here. So it's actually pretty accessible when it comes to how much you need to pay, okay, for how much you need to pay for this, okay. So yeah, Actually, it's actually pretty okay for this. So what we have more in here is that premium allows you to have auto scaling. Okay, standard actually also allows you to have auto scaling, but basic does not. Okay, shared and free even worse because they are shared hardware. You're not going to scale. Doesn't make even any sense. But basic, okay, only allows you to do manual scaling only. Okay, standard and premium, okay, they also allow you, okay, to do manual scaling. But usually we just want to do this for auto scaling. Manual scaling is not something that we like to do that much, because to be totally honest with you, that's just coming in here. Okay, so now I'm in the real web app. If you go scale out, okay, you can just come here. Doing manual scaling is literally just this. Scale out method, manual. How many instances do you need? Because you're in premium, you can go up to 30. Okay, if you're in standard, you could only do 10. Okay, if you were in basic, you have a maximum of 3. But basically, it's just this. You just come here, just slide this, press save. That's how many you're going to get. Okay, I'm not going to do this, but that's basically it. There's nothing more, okay, that you have to do for for this. Okay, so that's actually that's actually pretty pretty interesting. What we can do with this. Okay, so there you go. So that's scaling. If you want auto scaling, yeah, you can actually do automatic. You can do rule base. So we have options in here that we can use. Okay. The other thing is, yeah,
Diego,
sure.
There's a question for you in the chat.
Oh, okay. Let me have the question here. If there's a bottleneck in CPU compute instance, where do you monitor? Okay, so you can actually go in here. There you go. So, and I actually have monitoring in here, okay, and you can actually check, okay, this immediately through metrics in here, okay. Of course, this is the cheap way to do it. You can actually do this with Azure Monitor, Application Insights, and connect this with alerts and all that. But I could just say here, hey, CPU time, see. And I already have some stuff here, okay? Of course, I just created this now, so yeah, there's nothing that much that I can show you here. Maybe let me try to show you another app service plan that I have here that has a little bit more stuff, okay? So, where is app services? Oh my God, there you go. Maybe this one. And if we go back in here, metrics, okay, and I just say, hey, CPU. So you see stuff like this. This is when your CPU is being used on this. And look, there's a bunch of other, things that you can have on this, okay? So, and you can check the metrics in here. In the case of, let's close this. In the case of this, when you go to also scale out, by the way, and I was not demoing this, but because it takes a little bit of time, but if you go here and you say, for example, rules base, because automatic, this is the platform that's going to manage this for you. If you go rules base, you can actually say custom auto scaling. You can say scale based on a metric. Then you need to add a rule. And actually in here, see, you can actually check what's the metric, okay, that you want to use for this. And I can actually say here, hey, I want to use CPU percentage. And of course, you can also do memory, okay? You can also do a bunch of other stuff. I actually have a customer that, they actually have an app that it runs out of memory first and CPU. So it's a memory intensive application. So then it makes sense to be through memory, okay? How do you manage identity secrets for service accounts, etc.? Okay, that's a good one. I will answer that. Just give me a second here, okay? So I'll put that in the parking lot for a moment, but I'll get back to it, okay? So understanding, instance counts, cores, memory, so that you're not paying more than you need. Also, in terms of high availability, look, go for premium if you need high availability things. And there's actually, two big things that I want to talk about when it comes to high availability. The first one is talking about availability zones. So each zone is independent when it comes to power, cooling, and networking. They're all in the same region. And you can actually deploy this in premium and say that, look, yay, I want this in premium, and I want 2 instances, 1 instance in each availability zone, so that I have a high availability, okay? And you actually just need 2. You used to need 3, but they decreased the number of that to just 2. Of course, with 3, it's better than 2. I think it's obvious, but you can use the feature with just 2, okay? Then we talk about networking, security, and identity. And look, just talk about that. When we talk about networking, we're going to talk about things, and you need to leverage, and you can leverage things like private endpoints, like VNet integration. Okay, so for example, imagine the following scenario. I have, a database, okay, that this is on-prem. Okay, then I have my web app. Let's imagine the icon here, this big icon. It'll be my app. I have a VNet in here, so a virtual network that actually has some kind of connectivity with on-prem, being through a VPN or through an express route. Look, it doesn't matter now. What you can do is you can do like VNet integration. So VNet integration. Okay, and that means that your app can call stuff, okay, that is inside this, okay, virtual network. That's actually awesome. And you can even jump through using that VPN connection and go to on-prem, okay, and actually get data that you have imagined in a database. Who says a database means call an API or call something else, okay? Just using the database because it's usually the standard example. So that's actually pretty cool, okay, that we can do. But we have more stuff. We also have access control. So we can actually restrict this, and we can actually do IP filtering on this, etc. And if you see this, all this is done under settings, under networking, okay? And look, you can just come in here and, just say, hey, I want to, block this or configure, how this is being used. So it's all in here, okay? So definitely it's just like super easy. The VNet integration is this, okay? You can just go in here, VNet integration, and I'll add a VNet integration, and now you just need to say, hey, I want this to this, okay, to this VNet that I have here. Okay, there's no VNets. Okay, I don't have VNets to show you. Okay, private endpoints, okay, and all this, you can actually go to restrictions and just say, look, I want this application to not be accessible through the internet. I just want this to just, some IP addresses in here. Okay, look, this is actually pretty rich when it comes to, to this kind of features. And to end up, identity. Okay, you can actually implement identity straight on this app and just create like a gateway for authentication. So everyone needs to be authenticated, and you can use like Entra ID, for example, for that. You can actually do this with Key Vault, and we can actually integrate Key Vault to store secrets, okay? And then leverage, and I'm actually answering, okay, the question that I got here from Christian, okay? I can actually leverage managed identities, okay, in my web application, which is just coming in here, identity, and to create a managed identity for this resource is just saying on save yes. Now you have an identity, okay? And now what I can do is I can go, for example, into a Key Vault, a storage, a SQL database, something like that, and say, okay, yeah, let me do this for a storage account, okay? I can go here to a storage account like this storage account that I have here. I can do access control, add, role assignment. I can choose a role, and I actually go to choose a role which is called storage blob data reader, for example, that allows you to read stuff from containers. Okay, so blob data reader. And now I just need to say, oh, managed identity, select the members, stuff it's in this subscription here, and app services, and ooh, AZ Canada Cloud. That's our app. See? Okay, review and assign, review and assign. And now that means that code that is running on that resource can actually go and read data to that storage account, just like that, in all containers. If you want, you can go down one level into the granularity level, and you can actually do this to a specific container, okay? So we're not explaining everything today. Cool. So that's the stuff that I can do on this. And of course, if you have, other services, other API keys to access other services and stuff like that, you should keep them, okay, into Azure Key Vault, okay? Answering a little bit more your question, because you say that, if you want to do stuff like in the GitHub repo, other use cases, yeah, look, if it's in the GitHub repo, you should use Key Vault and then integrate this with it. And actually, you can for Azure DevOps, you actually can integrate your CI/CD pipelines with Key Vault. Okay, so that will be something that, yeah, definitely you can do. Last slide. Okay, that I have here. Some key takeaways, okay, that we have with all this. So I have like this 5 key takeaways here, okay? App service, okay, you get like a simplified view from dev to production, okay? Choose the right app service plan. That's actually pretty important, not just for performance and cost, but also for features. Okay, like, hey, Tiago, I want auto scaling. I want to be able to grow to 30 instances. Well, premium, okay? So that's something that you need to go premium, okay? And you saw the price of premium. It's not, super expensive to the point low. I can't pay that, okay? Secure using built-in authentication. Talk about VNets, to do VNet integration, Key Vault, deployment slots, okay? It's you saw that and I show you this, okay? And also diagnostics and application insights. I said I was not showing you that, but they are your best friend when stuff breaks, because when things work, you just don't need that, okay? Because everything just works. You don't need logs. But when things break, yeah, logs are your friends, right? So there you go. So this is it. Okay, so thank you so much for attending. My name is Tiago, and this is how you can bring an app from a repo to production. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed today.